and we're going to be continuing Detroit Become Human today. So yeah, it's been a little while. Took Wednesday off for the 4th of July. Hope everybody had a good 4th. But unfortunately that means we're going to be doing the thing this stream where I'm trying to sort of remember what was going on when we left off. Um, so last time we talked a little bit about things like point of view and role playing, and how it was kind of difficult getting into character with multiple points of view. It seems like in the last stream we had, we were with Hank and Connor, and kind of gave Connor this big choice moment of whether he was going to shoot another android or not. And we decided a couple of streams ago that we were going to be playing Connor in a little bit more of a subversive way. So we're sort of pushing Connor a little bit toward becoming a deviant, which is a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and dive back in and see if maybe we can pick up the thread of where we left off. This is one issue that I'm having with a lot of like these major, like big narrative games lately is it's really hard to go a week between playing and jump right back in. Hello, welcome chat. Okay. The music really is great in this game. I've pretty much had consistently great things to say about the music. So yeah, there was a moment where I did not realize this was an interactive moment. Okay, let's see what we got. Android riots. Vandalized by psychotic machines. Brutally vandalized. Questionable. So this is actually kind of a nice little like moment of payoff. I am a little bit curious what would have happened if we had actually made our vandalism a little bit more violent, but you know, since it was all peaceful vandalism, it would be cool to see that paid off even a little bit. But all right, let's walk to the edge, I guess. So this was a shot where in the last episode we talked a little bit about how cinematography and level design were working together, or in some cases not working together. And this actually was a nice moment of the cinematography and the level design feeling really good together. It's very constrained. It was very clear to me as a player what the game wanted me to do, and it actually let me do it. Interesting that the game had me sit down only to stand right back up. I don't know what any of these choices are. Let's go with sure.
I like it here. I come here often. It's like being alone with the world. We freed hundreds of our people, and they're still coming from all over the city. Those who dream of freedom come to Jericho. Something's changing. You seem preoccupied.
They all obey me, follow me without question. And that much power feels good. And scary at the same time.
All the media are talking about what we did last night.
Okay, not the subtlest writing in the world, but
they're afraid of a civil war. Many of our people were burned in response to what happened.
Okay.
The humans hate us.
Let's see if I can turn down.
They'll never give us our freedom.
Thank you for pointing out sound stuff. That's really helpful. Fatalistic, goodness. All right, we'll be determined.
They won't listen. We'll fight.
Is that better?
You haven't said much about yourself since you've been with us. What was your life like before Jericho?
Cool. Yeah, let's tell the truth, because I'm not entirely sure what my life was like before Jericho.
He was like a father to me.
I mean, I know I had a good relationship with the guy, but yeah. Yeah, let's ask him North's past.
What about you? You never told me about your past. What did you do before?
I don't want to talk about it.
That android you were looking at in the store. She reminded you of who you were, didn't she?
Why would we be aggressive here?
North,
All right.
we're fighting together. We have to know things about each other to trust each other.
I was nothing. A doll in a distributor program to satisfy humans. Just a toy designed for their pleasure. One day I was with a man who rented me. And without knowing why, I realized I couldn't take it anymore. I strangled him and I ran away. There, now you know everything.
You know, I hadn't actually made the connection before now that North was the android that we were looking for when we were Connor. I'm also like having some complicated feelings around the whole like sex slave as a plot device thing.
I saw your memories. Carl's house, when they left you for dead in his studio.
I saw your memories too. The Eden Club. The death of that man. I felt like I was there with you. North.
So they totally just mind melded. I have not. Yeah, that's cool. I think that, you know, the idea of robots sort of becoming human and rising up is a pretty popular sci-fi plot device to kind of explore a few different issues. Sort of like, what do we consider human? What sorts of things are
This is
pointed
suicide.
out? Like, a very common sci-fi
We'll
trope
all
is
be
like, what
killed.
sorts of things
Please,
are pointed
Marcus.
out
It's not
when
too late to change
we
your mind.
change the social context of
You don't
things.
understand.
And one easy way of changing
We're
the
finally
social
gonna show
context
them
of
who we
things is
are.
by
This
making a
place
lot
will
of
go
the
down in
things that
history.
happen to humans and
We'll be killed
societies
on the
happen
spot.
to other things.
That's the risk I'm prepared to take.
Whether
It
that's
means freedom
aliens
for
or
our people.
androids or really some kind of other
Marcus,
that doesn't feel so
please don't do
sort of like
this.
personally attacking the current society.
They'll understand. We'll make them understand. This is the only way.
Or
There are
dolphins,
androids
yeah.
here who can join us.
Exactly.
The more we are, the stronger our message.
Wow. So you can start my fucking android all night?
Okay. So one of the things that I've sort of consistently run into with this game is
Come
that,
with us.
like, I really like to, as a player, explore the boundaries of my space before I sort of do what the game wants me to do. Like, I kind of like to know what, you know, what the boundaries and rules are. And this game is very hostile to that because, you know, it has a very particular experience it's going for.
You're free.
And a lot of the complaints I've had about this game have boiled down to sort of like me wanting to have the kind of experience I want, pushing up against, you know, what the authored experience is supposed to be. Okay, so we have 2 recruits. We can recruit this guy too.
You're free.
This one too.
You're awake now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's easier to force a focus, but I think some of the best ways to force focus, at least for kind of my design sensibilities, are to do that in a way that makes the boundaries feel diegetic. Like, for example, I'm not upset that I can't walk in this direction because there's a wall here, so while operating within the boundaries of the fiction, I understand that, like, this is the natural limitation for me. When you put a door somewhere, a door sort of suggests to a player, hey, I should be able to go through it. So having a door be the boundary here feels a little awkward. It's kind of an issue of like affordance versus what the game allows you to do. All right, so we're going to go to the street now. And there's also kind of the balance here too between like puzzle solving kind of gameplay and like just enacting a story gameplay. And a lot of the moments, funny enough, that I haven't loved as much in this game have been the supposedly higher agency moments.
You get back here.
Because like when I'm just doing an interactive cutscene or something, I feel really immersed in what the story is. Whereas when when I'm like
Marcus,
being asked
find a way to block the road.
to do a thing that feels like something my character wouldn't necessarily want to do,
You're free.
that feels a little awkward and disjointed. Yeah, and you're right, the door is very pretty.
You don't have to obey them.
I was wondering for a second if I was going to free them both. Camera kind of looks over like, What are you? Android work ahead. Interesting that it sort of calls out Android work there. Really sort of like feeds into that second class thing.
You're free.
I'm kind of curious too, like how many different variations
I need to block the street.
on "You're Free" this poor voice actor had to record. Yeah, that was sort of how I took it. Like, humans beware, androids are working. And or, like, dangerous work ahead, so, you know. So, be careful because of androids. Or, like, be careful, this is a thing only because... Whoa. Where is this manhole cover? That sign was so literal. The manhole cover is the other way. Okay. Convert more androids.
free now.
Interesting that now we can just kind of broadcast the message. We don't need to touch them anymore, I guess. Yeah, that's kind of interesting that, like, as we are marching, it is literally mechanically becoming easier to convert people. You know, we have a whole classification of those games that are feeding into sort of a god power fantasy, and actually this scene, I think, is doing a really effective job of that. Like, when we say god game, we mean, like, a specific genre normally, but I think, like, in general, games are feeding into, you know, different power fantasies, and this one absolutely is feeding into this kind of, like, you know, religious figure fantasy in a much more literal way than something like, say, Black and White or something felt like it did to me. Robot pops. Yeah, I don't even have to hold the buttons now. I can just press them as they pop up.
Disperse! Disperse immediately! That's an order!
Oh. So...
Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ! Dispatch, this is Patrol 457. I got a lot of androids down here. I don't know, hundreds, thousands. They're marching. Yeah, they're marching down the street.
The voice performance on this
Fucking
is fantastic.
fine, though.
Yeah, they're marching. Marching down the street. Very casual. Hi, Floop! Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Alright, this is playable, by the way, so I'm actually going to be moving now. Again, having that issue with this game of not being sure what's playable. Oh my god. Let's go with We Are People. Okay, this chant mechanic, to be honest, is feeling super trivializing to real world kind of protests and organizations. Yeah, definitely. So we're, I think, kind of hitting like a big climactic moment where we just organized a bunch of androids and we are now marching. And we'll see how this police thing plays out.
We came here to demonstrate peacefully and tell humans that we are living beings. All we want is to live free.
This is an illegal gathering. Disperse immediately or we will open fire.
We're not looking for confrontation. We've done no harm. We have no intention of doing any. But know that we are not going anywhere until we have secured our freedom.
I repeat, this is an illegal gathering. If you do not disperse immediately, we will
So
shoot.
I understand kind of going
Marcus, they're gonna
for
kill
like
us. We have to attack. There's more of us. We can take them.
going for
attack,
critical
we'll
path
start
on the
a war.
dialogue there,
We have to
but a
show them
lot
we're
of
not
that really
violent.
felt
We
like
should
I should
just
have
stand
player
our ground,
control
even if it
over
means
that
dying.
dialogue.
Dying here
Because
won't
those were
solve
some
anything.
really big, heavy statements
Marcus,
that my player
we
character
need
just
to
sort
go
of made
now,
without
before it's too late.
my input. And so things like we came here to protest peacefully, that's in response to a lot of choices I've made so far. But things like, we're not leaving without our freedom and stuff like that, like it just felt really strongly worded for a
We have to show them we won't back down. We stay
it
right
felt
here.
very strongly worded for me not really having to there. Yeah.
Disperse! This is your last chance! We have to make a statement. We have to stay put no matter what.
Please, Marcus. We can't let them slaughter us without fighting back.
We're not moving.
Marcus, what are you doing? They're gonna kill us all.
I don't know. I wasn't actually sure if I was sacrificing myself there or sacrificing people, which also seems like kind of a major thing that you probably want to like communicate to players before they make this giant impactful choice.
John?
They come with us.
Quick! They're coming!
Yeah, it's a good point. And it did, in fact, turn out to be sacrificing both. Okay, so this is actually interesting for a couple of reasons. I really like that this interface. I've been a fan of this interface like pretty much throughout, and I really like that this interface is starting to highlight places where things we did before are now paying off. So I think I could have done with a little bit more like upfront telegraphing that things were going to have some kind of an impact, but at the very least, I'm really happy to see that we're having these moments, like these yellow ones here. So a couple of things. This game is certainly aspiring to communicate things about current political climate. And I think at the same time, it's also, as with previous Quantic Dream games, trying to sort of communicate that games are a medium that can, have these big, powerful messages. So I am sympathetic to that ambition, and I think that it's a really good thing for games to try to be doing. I worry a little bit, like in the scene that we just saw, for example, that this particular scene may have also been oversimplifying things and trivializing them a little bit. And it's really tough because at their heart, games are a simulation, by which I mean they are trying to get to the essence of a thing by using a simplified set of rules. Like, obviously, games don't take into account every single variable that exists in the real world. So what they're really trying to do is take a certain rule set and use that rule set to kind of like pare down to the essence to show off things like causes and effects and how altering one thing can change another thing. And obviously, there's a lot of opinion put into how different causes and effects are carried out. And there's a real danger when you're doing that you may be, imparting views on certain causes and effects that might be overly simplified to the point that they're kind of trivializing the real world thing. And I'm a little bit concerned that this game is like really teetering on the edge of that. There have been a lot of think pieces and stuff about how this game is representing, for example, things like race relations and stuff like that. But a lot of the choices I'm making are really boiling down to like, okay, you're the leader. Are people going to die, or are you going to back down from your cause? And while those choices are these kind of big, impactful choices, it feels like they're a little bit black and white in a lot of cases, and I'm not really able to make sort of like middle ground choices. And I understand that for drama, middle ground choices are not necessarily as interesting and they don't kind of ramp up dramatic tension as much. But I think when you're dealing with trying to represent really complicated systems, it's really easy to get into some sort of problematic territories on that stuff. So let's keep going. Let's see, how this stuff pays off and what other kinds of stuff we're dealing with.
Taking over.
What? But we're onto something. We just need more time, I'm sure we
Hank, you don't get it. This isn't just another investigation. It's a fucking civil war. It's out of our hands now. We're talking about national security here.
Fuck that. You can't just pull the plug now, not when we're so close.
You're always saying you can't stand androids. Jesus, Hank, make up your mind. I thought you'd be happy about this.
We're about to crack the case. I know we can solve it. For God's sake, Jeffrey, can't you back me up this one time?
There's nothing I can do. You're back on homicide, and the android returns to cyberlife. I'm sorry, Hank, but it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. I think stories on more personal levels are just inherently a little bit easier to do in the medium, and it's not clear to me if that's because we've established certain norms for storytelling in the medium, and those kinds of stories just happen to play into it better. But yeah, exactly. Cultural genocide is a really, really tough one to do. And there are absolutely games that have explored it, like the obvious one that comes to mind is Brenda Romero's Train. But that's doing it through mechanics and the player's simplicity within that, as opposed to trying to depict it in this kind of authored way. Connor's not doing so well. Oh wow. So Connor's dead now? Alright. That felt abrupt. And also, like, I just played through a whole thing without a choice and was decommissioned. Wow. Wow. That... Man. This is, like, pretty brutally punishing. Like, just by virtue of showing you, like, hey, there's this whole scene that you're just not gonna get to do now. Yeah, okay. So, I think I'm actually okay with this. Like, I was really objecting to the Connor storyline kind of being so over your head with like, hey, these are the rules and you have to follow them because you're a robot / player. But like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna call this a moral victory. We'll keep going. I am actually curious if that means that Connor is gonna sort of appear in a different form, or if like that's just it, the Connor storyline's done. And in some ways, I'm actually kind of happy about that. Like, I was not appreciating the direction that the Connor storyline was going, and it feels like the game very much was just kind of like, yeah, okay, you don't want to be Connor? He's dead now. All right. I like that she's looking over at me, and I can control this camera to look at her, but my character's not looking at her, so I'm just kind of camera creeping. Alice and Luther continue to be adorable. Sure, let's play that.
With all androids being turned over to the authorities, the country is grinding to a halt. Hospitals and schools are closing, water cuts, blackouts, and network failures are expected.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I have a completionist streak for sure, which I'm sure is really frustrating to watch on the stream, so I appreciate everybody being patient with that. But yeah, so for me, like, it is really hard as a gamer to see that screen and be like, oh man, I just failed that. But at the same time, I've had competing desires in this game, going back and forth between role-playing and wanting the characters to narratively be what I want them to be, versus also, like, gamering. And this game is not friendly to the gamer experience, it is friendly to the narrative experience. So, kind of interesting that it feels a little bit like it's punishing me for not doing enough of the gamer experience. But at the same time, so far, like, especially at this point in the narrative, it does feel like we're sort of getting to a moment of, hey, not following orders is having, like, severe consequences for these androids. So... Okay, so we're really just kind of looking around. We can look out the window.
They've been conducting raids all over the city. Everybody's on edge after what happened yesterday. It's gonna be all right. We're almost there.
Alright, this looks a lot like our parking lot that we first hid in a car with Alice. I'm not sure if that's narratively the same parking lot, or if that's you know, just reusing assets.
A little further on that way, there's a large freighter called Jericho. When you get there, find Marcus. He will help you. The last bus for the border leaves at midnight. You absolutely have to be on it. You'll be safer on the other side. It's not much, but it's a start. My brother lives in Ontario. I've given you his address. He'll be able to hide you until things calm down. You're a very brave little girl, Alice. You deserve to be happy.
Thank you for everything, Rose.
Let me know when you make it over there, all right?
Rose is very warm to us for, like, considering that we haven't really interacted with her that much, other than kind of just showing up at her place and being fugitives.
Come on, girls. You better not hang around. You have a bus to catch.
Aw, but if he carries her, then I can't do my favorite thing of holding her hand. Okay, so, it's actually kind of nice to have an escort quest, since so much of this game is me being frustrated at the camera angles and not being entirely sure where I'm supposed to go. It's actually kind of nice to have an NPC to follow to tell me. Okay, so we have another one of these, like, wide shots, where again, the camera is, like, kind of pushing us in a direction that does not actually seem to be the direction the level design is pushing us in. So, while I can appreciate that the camera is wanting to set up kind of the scale of that scene, just move the camera slightly over to the left so that it's a little more clear to me as a player to, like, walk along this path. Again, like, beautifully composed shot, just, you know, tough. Oh yes, we're back to hand holding. And for people just joining, this is, like, literally my favorite AI behavior in a game, like, to date, where if I am walking near Alice and we kind of start, I stand close to her and she comes over and we join hands and then we walk together. Like, just the joining hands behavior, so good. Such a good detail. Okay, so Jericho now, presumably.
Some sources, the Russian
Come on,
forces
Alice.
also seem mysteriously to have withdrawn.
Yeah.
The Kremlin has made no comment for the moment, but it is quite possible that the Russian army has been confronted with a similar crisis among its own androids. The chairman of the United Nations.
So this is like another one of these moments where, you know, my primary control here is change the camera angle.
In any case, the danger of a third world war
I
seems
can't
to have been
really
ruled
hear
out
very well
for the
what's
moment.
going on in there. So, and it's not captioned, so we'll just kind of keep walking, I guess. Okay, and we've sort of quickly hit the point that I seem to hit in a lot of these free walks, where now we'll go into, okay, where am I supposed to go mode. Okay. Unclear. Walk forward a little bit. Do it again. So this feels like kind of a missed opportunity for more sort of ambient, you know, narrative, or environmental narrative, sorry. Like again, there are a lot of people in this scene that I cannot interact with. There are stairs that I can't walk up. And I super understand that, you know, time constraints and budgets and things prohibit such stuff, but it's a little frustrating. There we go. Okay, found it. And, like, this is a moment, actually, where I think in terms of level design, a little bit more signaling would have been really useful. So, like, if you look around this area, we have lots of, like, greens. The screens provide a, like, really distinct color palette from the rest of the environment. Like, we have these really bright, saturated colors that draw the eye to the screens, right? And as we're looking around, like, there is some orange over here, but I think that orange light could be much more overdrawn to sort of signal to the player, like, hey, this area over here is a little bit different.
How do you feel? I'm hot and cold at the same time.
That is some really good hair. Okay, let's stand up.
Stay with her. I'll try to find this Marcus.
The last bus is in 2 hours. And the terminal's on the other side of town. We haven't got much time.
We'll leave as soon as we have passports.
Carol, there's something I have to tell you. It's about Alice.
We'll have lots of time to talk on the bus. I'll be back. Stay with Alice.
If this is all building up to the fact that Alice is an android, I'm gonna be really disappointed, because that's like some of the most obvious foreshadowing ever. So I really hope this reveal is like something that's gonna shock me. Okay, let's find Marcus. Just give me a yellow guy.
We've gotta do something.
Oh, we've got more barks now.
We can't just stand by and let them slaughter us.
The authorities have ordered all androids to be delivered to the nearest police station or army barracks immediately. You are worried about your safety.
Alright.
Dial the number on your screen and the authorities will come to collect your android. Under no circumstances should you try to destroy your android yourself. They are unpredictable.
The androids weren't doing anything. Cut them down. It was sheer.
Bright lights.
Your android moved the square. The police arrived? Why did they do it? Open fire.
We got to avenge her.
No, they're only machines, but
And watch them murder us. We've got to defend ourselves.
Okay, definitely getting a lot more like ambient storytelling for these arcs as we're walking through.
Military androids. American forces in the Arctic have been forced to withdraw, leaving the way clear for the...
So this is the first time we've seen that Kara and Marcus are actually meeting. So I'm actually kind of curious how the game's going to handle this. Do we get to make choices for both characters?
There's a bus leaving for the border in less than 2 hours, and we need passports.
No, Detroit's under
Or is it
curfew.
like a novel where
There's
we're sort of
soldiers
playing
everywhere. They're
Kara
rounding
in the
up all the
scene,
androids
so
and sending them
that's
to
what we've
camps.
got.
Maybe you should stay here a while.
Thanks for the offer. But we want to leave now.
That also feels like a moment I should have had a player choice.
He has electronic passports he can easily modify. I'll have him get them to you.
Thank you.
You said you're with a little girl, right? You know that humans hate us. Why are you protecting her?
She needs me. And I need her. It's as simple as that.
Well-placed stairs here. Thank you for that, designers. And good camera angles following them down.
Alice.
Different Alice.
You knew from the beginning. You just didn't want to see it. She wanted a mom, and you wanted someone to care for. You needed each other.
So Alice is an android.
What difference does it make? Do you love her any less now that you know she's one of us?
Which we sort of knew.
Alice loves you, Kara. She loves you more than anything in the world. She became the little girl you wanted, and you became the mother she needed. Forgetting who you are to become what someone needs you to be. Maybe that's what it means to be alive.
Meta. All about assuming roles and things like that. So that was the reveal. All right.
Kara, is there something wrong?
This is definitely a moment of dissonance because, like, I am not even a little shocked, so I'm not having the same, like, feelings that my player character seems to be having, which is interesting, because now I have this moment as the player where I can sort of, like, interject and override what my player character seems to be doing, which is good. If that had gone on for longer, I might have started to get a little annoyed and frustrated, but all good. I had the opportunity there. That was basically my big choice of, you know, do I want to accept her because she's like me, or do I want to not for reasons I don't understand? That's interesting. I would be really interested in seeing, like, for example, how many players choose the distant option.
We're short on blue blood and biocomponents. Our wounded are shutting down, and there's nothing we can do.
President Warren is saying we're a threat to national security and we need to be exterminated.
Humans are conducting raids in all the big cities, and they're taking androids to camps to destroy them.
It's a disaster. They're slaughtering our people.
It's all our fault. None of this would have happened if we just stayed quiet.
let's be
We couldn't just
righteous
suffer in
that,
silence.
you
They're
know, we're
killing
going
us.
for this kind of
Nothing is gonna justify
Jesus
that.
figure with Marcus, I guess. So yeah, so that last episode, I don't think we... Oh, we did make one choice as Kara while we were talking to Marcus. But yeah, so it does seem to, so far anyway, be following kind of a...
Humans enslaved us. I'll never regret standing up to that.
We shouldn't forget
That
who
might
our
have been the
enemies
wrong
are.
option.
We can't fight amongst ourselves.
He's right. All that matters now is what we do next. Marcus?
I need to think.
Seems to be following a model where, like a book or something, Game of Thrones being a great example, where different kind of scenes are done from different characters' points of views. I'll be sad.
Is this what we dreamed of?
I didn't know I was gonna be sad out loud, though. I was kind of hoping I would be sad to myself.
Since you've been here, you've given us hope. You've given me hope. Today, a deviant arrived in Jericho and he told me that he stole a truck transporting radioactive cobalt. He said that he abandoned the truck somewhere in Detroit and rigged it to explode. I convinced him not to do it, to give me the detonator.
A dirty ball.
We can't lose this war, Marcus. If humans overcome us, our people will disappear forever. This may be our only chance to survive if things go wrong.
We have so far played as the peaceful leader. We're gonna, I think, commit to that.
We can gain
continue
our
to be
freedom.
peaceful.
I hope you're right.
I do feel like we're doing it in a way that is alienating pretty much everybody involved in our cause. Certainly North, like a lot. So it would be really great if we had the option to kind of like rally our folks with a motivational speech or something. Since there's already the precedent for us doing the motivational speech with our television broadcast. Yeah, we'll kiss her, sure. So funny enough, because we've pushed her away a whole bunch, I'm really surprised this is just kind of going forward.
I'll go join the others. Look after yourself.
And while I'm getting like a close thing between them, it doesn't feel like overtly romantic in the same way that like some banter in other games does. Yeah, so interesting that there is a whole bunch of other stuff that could have happened there. Press R1 to view Connor's flowchart. Interesting that it just kind of keeps going with like, yep, Connor's dead now. Here's all the stuff you could have been experiencing with him. So one thing, you know, I've complained quite a bit about this game's like sort of narrative design, especially around the choices and stuff. But one thing that I do need to call out as being really good are that the major choices are not always necessarily these like big dialogue moments of branching narrative. Like we're also getting a lot of kind of like you made certain actions within the free walk space, or you know did certain things that are leading to you know basically being interpreted by the game as a choice, and I really like that. You know, one criticism of something like, for example, Telltale games are that most of the choices really come from these kind of major dialogue moments, at least in the more recent ones. And I like that this game does a really good job of those not necessarily being the focus, that equally so a player can make choices based on what they do within the scene, not just what they say. Okay, so we're visiting our former master, artist guy.
You can't know how much I miss you. I'd give anything for us to be able to roll back the clock. I had a home, I had a loving father. We were happy. I was happy. And I didn't even know it.
So, I sort of wonder, like, this is an interesting, like, kind of spread for some of the stuff that I've been talking about in other streams up to now. Like, what sort of player is, for example, going to choose depressed? Like, some of the choice text just seems a little bit, like, discouraging players from picking those, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, but it does feel like kind of a subtle way to be pushing players towards certain goals,
around me keeps falling apart.
Which Scheme seems to do a lot. I
don't want to shed blood, whatever the color, but I can't let them slaughter us. I have to make a decision that is going to affect millions of lives. But I don't know what to do. I miss you, Carl. I miss you so much.
This is really pretty. The music continues to be excellent for building tension. I think that's the sun. Did he recognize us? Seems like he did, but didn't cause a thing.
Humans have decided to exterminate us. Our people are packed in camps right now, being destroyed. Time has come to make a choice. One that very well may determine the future of our people.
Oh my god. This is a lot of text to read. Okay. So we can march peacefully toward the camps, or we can launch an assault on the camps. Alright, so, you know, I have to say, I've been complaining throughout this whole game about how I wasn't entirely clear all the time about what choices I was making because the choice text was too abbreviated. And then the game came at me with this and was like, what if we really clearly spell out what each of these choices is going to be? So, fair enough. Let's continue to march peacefully. And I need to make sure, since I'm on PlayStation, not an Xbox, that I hit the correct button.
I know you're all angry. And I know you want to fight back.
It's kind of, I'm sorry, it's just kind of funny, like, how completely opposite that is from, like, every choice I've been complaining about up to now.
That we want justice. And if there's any humanity in them, they will listen. And if not, others will take our place and continue this fight. Are you ready to follow me?
And here's my motivational speech that I was hoping to be able to give my folks. So, you know, it's giving me the payoff. I do have to admit that, like, sometimes when I get these pads, makes me a little sad. Which I think is, like, literally the point, is, like, a little bit of, hey, here's punishment. Carl died in this previous scene, so you have this, like, short scene that would have been expensive to have, you know, built out as many choices as you get otherwise, so you, you know, so you get all of this. Okay. We've chosen a protest. This almost certainly is gonna set us up to, you know, become a martyr.
At 6 a.m. this morning, a national curfew was declared. Civilian movement will be strictly controlled. The right to assembly is suspended. All electronic communications are restricted, and I have granted enhanced powers to our security agencies. In addition to these measures, all androids must be handed over to the authorities immediately. Temporary camps are being set up
President
in all our
Warren
major
really
cities
does have
to
a resemblance to
contain and
Elizabeth
destroy
Warren, though,
them.
huh? Like,
I am now asking all civilians to cooperate with the authorities and rest assured that everything in our power is being done to guarantee the security of our nation.
like the writing in this game
Madam President.
really is, oh, this is a really strange choice.
A convoy of medical cobalt is reported missing. Army weapons stores are also said to have been robbed. Can you confirm these reports?
I have no information on that at this time.
Who was I role-playing there exactly? The press,
Has the
I
leader of
guess?
the Deviants been apprehended?
The deviant that is known as Marcus has not been located yet, but we will soon track it down and neutralize it.
Madam President!
I mean, it doesn't matter because I have three choices and I have to choose all three, but, like, it's kind of a strange choice space.
All androids working on sensitive sites have been neutralized, and all
Yeah, this
IT
game in general, the
systems
writing
have been
has kind
suspended
of,
to avoid any risks of hacking.
ridden this
The situation is under
line
control.
between verisimilitude and fantasy that is pretty uncomfortable in a lot of cases. And I think, for example, like, having President Warren that sort of vaguely resembles Elizabeth Warren is like a really unnecessary one.
Madam President, some say these camps awaken painful memories from human history. How do you respond to that?
That's absurd. There's absolutely no connection. Androids are not living beings. All we are doing is destroying defective machines. Thank you. That will be all.
They're going door to door rounding up androids. It won't be easy to get through.
The last bus leaves in 20 minutes. We've got to move fast. Are you all right?
I'm really cold.
Whoa. Oh, for her hot cold sensitivity, I was like, oh my god, are we just gonna kill her? Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, chat? Should we deactivate her sensitivity or leave it on? I'm actually not really seeing a problem with deactivating. Like, I don't necessarily understand why this should be a difficult choice, because at no point have the androids in this narrative expressed any desire to become human. Leave it on? Okay. So that feels like because she's uncomfortable, so I could turn it off to make her uncomfortable, but at the same time, presumably that is like a mechanism that's in place to indicate, you know, that she might be damaged or whatever. Gun We are definitely gonna have to decide later if we're gonna kill someone. So be thinking about that right now, chat. Are we gonna kill people? We have decided with Marcus that we are trying to lead a peaceful revolution. So Marcus is completely non-violent, but we really haven't made that decision with Kara. Or Luther.
Stay close to me. We're going to sneak past them without being noticed. We're going to make it, Alice, I promise you.
Don't kill me! I didn't do anything!
Shut up, I said! Are there many more? Lucky don't be like rats. The more you look, the more you find. Oh, we don't have to spend the night here. I'm freezing my nuts off. It's gonna take weeks to clean up this fucking city. Believe me, you are far from finished.
Okay, Jerry's. This is a mechanic that we had earlier in the game, but we haven't really
Come on, get moving.
done it in a few scenes. Okay.
Hurry up, get in.
And actually, I like this mechanic, and so far the cameras have been on our side in this as well. It's done a really nice job of sort of leading us to each next obstacle.
We can't help them. The soldiers are everywhere.
She's right, Alice.
We can't just leave them. They're going to kill them.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think we're able to save the Jerrys. We're gonna keep going.
Sorry, Alice. There's nothing we can do.
Hey, buddy.
We have to keep moving.
This is a mistake. I'm human. I just want to go home. My wife is expecting me, and we're gonna...
Got orders to check all civilians.
No. No! Please!
Fucking androids.
And now it's no longer telling us if they're hiding us or not. Yeah, this is a pretty brutal scene. I actually think that this scene is extremely effective at some of the things that the other scenes were maybe not as effective at. Because it's taking into account what the player does during all of this. And that for me is really like feeding into the guild here. Okay, really nice use of flashlights here to signal to me as a player what's going on. And now we'll go. Where, yeah, like for me, the mechanics and narrative themes worked really well in that particular scene. Like, I, as a player, am trying to sort of look out for myself and my immediate family.
We have passports,
and
it
in the
should be
background,
okay,
there's
but
these
you
kind
never
of
know.
atrocities happening
Maybe we should
that,
get the detour to avoid the risk.
We're almost out of time. We could miss the bus.
that basically,
Yeah,
like,
it
I
might be
have to ignore if I am going to succeed. Okay. Bus departs. 11 minutes. We can make it. It'd be really cool if my character could run, though. Come on.
We're coming to you live from Detroit, where thousands of androids are marching through the city at this very moment. The leader of the Deviants, the one they call Marcus, is at the head of the march.
Something's happening in Detroit, Madam President.
Also, this scene is doing the thing that I hate in games, where the controls are relative, not direct. So I'm holding up right now to march forward at this angle. Wide shots, which actually are pretty technically impressive as well. That's a lot of agents on the screen at one time, and that's only sort of just occurring to me. We had the protest
Here
scene
we are.
earlier.
Moment of truth.
You know, where the guy narrated that there were a lot more people than we could actually see on screen. But actually, This is not bad. This is like quite a few things to get on screen all at one time.
We don't want confrontation.
God, I feel like, in order to
protesting
choose
peacefully.
peaceful things, it's like actually like having to make quick decisions. Like physically difficult, but in a way that feels really disjointed from what I'm trying to do, which feels very passive.
There's no turning back now. We ask that you release all androids detained in camps and cease all aggression against us. We are peaceful. We will not resort to violence. But we are not leaving until our people are free.
So I am really interested in the fact that I keep making these kind of peaceful decisions, and I am really curious how the narrative is going to pay those off, because how it does that kind of says a lot about the message of this game in terms of what peaceful protest does and how it again, it's really hard to basically have this kind of stimulative system without, you know, putting these kinds of opinions into the system. Yeah, we'll raise our hands.
Are you gonna open fire on unarmed protesters?
I think it's pretty clear they are.
All teams, hold your fire.
Yes, Michael, we are less than 100 meters away and events are unfolding as we speak. We will continue to bring you live updates. Josh Douglas, Channel 16. Michael, back to you.
Marcus, what do we do now?
We hold out. As long as we can.
The bus terminal. We've arrived, Alice. We made it.
The last bus for the border is full. Ticket holding passengers only. All departures are suspended until further notice.
We don't have tickets. They won't let us on. We're stuck here now. What are we going to do?
Okay.
Girl. You! You stole my little girl!
Todd.
Security! Over here!
Let go of me, Todd! Turning us in won't solve anything for you. You know that. You have your problems. They're nothing to do with us. When your wife walked out, she took your daughter away. You couldn't live without her. So you bought yourself an android. A substitute little girl. You thought you could love her. That she would make you forget. But nothing could replace your child.
I just wanted to prove to myself that I was a good father.
My experience with
wrong.
emotional
But I fucked it all up all over again.
confrontations like this
She was right in the end.
do not normally go this way.
I didn't deserve them.
I mean, I guess it's like a pretty
miss my
common
little girl.
film trope, but
You don't know how much I miss my little girl.
Is there a problem, sir?
No. I made a mistake. Sorry.
Please don't move.
Good luck.
I really don't feel like that should have worked. I want her to be happy. I should have stopped her though. That choice was rough because it felt like making a selfish choice, but I really don't think it was. I think I needed more time on that choice. I'm like immediately regretting it. And not in a way that like feels satisfying to Claire. Okay, cool. She's still coming with me. I'm good with her hugging.
Please don't move.
So see, but then even then it's like a little bit of frustration with kind of the like
Marcus.
The conveyance of what consequences of the choice are going to be. Not necessarily what payoffs of the choice are going to be, but what like immediate consequences my choice is going to have. Wow, those textures.
Is she yours?
Yes.
She's adorable.
That's it. Got the sandwiches. I called your mom. Let's get going before we miss our bus. You got the tickets, right?
Look at the
Yes,
little
honey, in
ears
my
on
bag.
that blanket. Oh my
Let's go.
god. This is the cutest thing ever.
I'm sorry. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I was sure.
Shit, I don't believe it.
I don't know what happened.
You can't have lost them. Did you have a good look in your bag?
They were in my
Okay, do we
backpack.
give him back
The
chat?
envelope must have
Yes or
fallen.
no? It's gonna ask us.
Excuse me, you didn't happen to see a blue envelope somewhere, did you?
Sorry.
It has our bus tickets in it and... Never mind.
Do we return them? Oh my god, no! That didn't even tell me it was a time choice! No!
Can't stay here.
Oh my god, I did not know that was gonna be a time choice.
I'm
Okay,
so sorry,
cool.
honey. I don't know what happened. They were right here in my bag.
Yeah, we're gonna return
I
them.
found this on the floor.
Ugh, I hate her. We haven't exactly played Kara as this like super moral
You saved
character.
our lives.
I'm sorry, Alice.
It's okay. You did the right thing.
We'll find another way.
I am sort of wondering also if there is going to be a good option for taking these tickets. I mean, I guess that feels narratively appropriate. Like,
Please don't move.
yeah, I am kind of curious, actually. Like, so this game has done a really good job of surfacing, like, that particular things have happened because of decisions we made, but not necessarily, like, here are other things that could have happened, which would also be really interesting to know. And so I get the reason to not do that, especially in terms of, like, you know, trying to enhance replay value of the game. But, I don't know, it would be nice. I guess also, like, it's tough for me because it's already, like, hard enough to play through a game like this once. This sort of, like, long narrative investment where each time I kind of can't remember what happened the time before.
Security check. Can I see your ID, please?
ID, yes, of course.
We could create a diversion, or let's just give them our papers. The diversion feels way more suspicious to me.
Hold still, please. On your knees!
Wow. Okay. So that's definitely, like, making a statement about being a deviant and trying to follow the rules within those parameters. That even if you're following all the rules, they will still persecute you. And I can actually, like, get on board with the message of that, even though it is extremely dispiriting as a player.
We've got to finish the barricade. Come on, help me.
Particularly since they were the option I was most...
Hey, help me!
Or they were, like, the storyline I was most invested in, and now I guess that's over. Man, that's like a super bummer.
Right, that should do it.
So, after that, I'm now feeling very much like this is going to punish me for
No, that's not going to stop them.
trying to go the peaceful route.
Just hope it buys us some time. I know it was not an easy decision.
But now at this point, I think I'm pretty invested in that, and I really kind of want to know what this game's point of view on peaceful protest is. So,
Are you alright?
They shot into the crowd. Many of us were killed. It could have been me. I'm scared. I don't want to shut down.
We're here because we never want to feel that fear again. Because we're more than what they say. That's what our people died for, right? That's why we're here.
I do kind of like that a lot of the actions that it seems to be kind of you know, pushing toward with the Marcus storyline have gone from kind of these really subversive tactics to now it seems to just entirely be like a public opinion game and like rallying my troops and inspiring them. Everybody's weirdly quiet.
This won't hold him for long, but I guess it's better than nothing.
don't know what any of these mean. Let's talk about
They're getting
humans,
into position. If they attack, no one will survive.
So we have something of like an Occupy protest going on at this moment, I guess. Why would it be grim? I don't want to express any of these things.
How many more of us have to die? Is there any cause worth giving your life for?
You're the hope of
So
our
that choice was a
people.
little frustrating because all of those choices were more or less the
trust you.
same thing, which
We
is
all
express
trust
something
you.
negative.
No matter what happens now, we're making history.
So the issue with the romance that I couldn't quite put my finger on before was like that it didn't really feel like there was like a ton of lead up or banter to that romance. Like it kind of felt like we're mind melding and now we know everything about each other and now we're romantic because of it. And it's like that's like a super sad and cynical model of what romance is.
Many of our people have fallen. The humans have no pity for those who are different.
Okay, those a little heavy-handed. I can't move now. Okay. All right. What did that say? Check on my people. Check the soldier's position and send a message to the journalists. Okay. Also, kind of. Oh, we have camera control right here. Okay.
They won't stop there. What are we gonna do if they attack?
Resist. That's the only thing we can do.
Oh, these people hugging is like a really nice touch.
Marcus! Marcus, come look!
Marcus? Come to talk to you, Marcus. Come on. You have my word. I won't try anything.
Don't go. It's a trap. They want to get you out in the open. Don't go, Marcus.
Definitely a trap. We're definitely gonna do it
Marcus.
anyway.
I just want to talk.
I need to hear what he has to say.
What if they kill you?
They probably will. They have killed all of my
That's a
playable
chance
characters
I'll
so
have to
far.
take.
few minutes, troops will be ordered to charge. None of you will survive. It'll all be over. You can avoid that, Marcus.
What do you mean?
Surrender. Surrender, and I give you my word, your life will be spared. You'll be detained. None of you will be destroyed.
I don't know what other demonstrations means.
What happened to the other androids demonstrating in the camps?
But it seems to be the premium choice since it was unlocked from other things we did in the past. And if I learned anything in the last scene, it's not to take anything other than the premium choice. Always, because otherwise people die. So, yeah, let's go with betray my people.
You asking me to betray my people?
I am offering you the chance
that question mark on the end, though, was key. So thank you to whoever wrote this choice.
The only thing you can save now are the lives of those around you.
If I accept your offer, how do I know you'll keep your word?
You're not in any position to be demanding guarantees, Marcus. All you can do right now is decide whether you want to trust me or not.
What do you think, chat? Accept or refuse? I'm leaning toward accept, and the camera's getting closer, and I'm getting worried about that. So I'm gonna do it. My choices are wiggling. Kind of hilarious that I'm just like standing here staring at him. Yeah, I'm gonna accept it.
All right. All right, I accept.
One thing as a player, I would have really appreciated is during that choice, having some kind of idle voice line or something to sort of summarize the deal. Like, I know that sounds really over the top, but by the time I had selected all of those other options, I kind of did have this moment of like, wait, what am I agreeing to?
The androids have surrendered peacefully, and military vehicles have been sent to collect them. The insurrection is over.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that's what I felt like I was agreeing to, but,
Nora.
Why did you do that?
We lost. Sacrificing ourselves wouldn't achieve anything.
We always said our cause was more important than our lives. Our people died here because they believed in you.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Our place was by their side.
So, yeah, I feel like, I don't know. This all has felt extremely unsatisfying, and while I understand this is like kind of bad ending territory on each of these characters,
well, that's it. I did what you asked.
You know, the problem with you androids is you believe everything we tell you.
You've got to be kidding me.
You didn't think I was going to let you live after everything
Well,
that
at least they're martyring me, I guess.
I have orders, you know.
No! No!
Cause is lost. Your android friends will soon be destroyed, and now your girlfriend's been shot. Seems you seriously fucked up, Marcus. Clean up this mess.
So at the very least, the game has really fierce opinions
more
about
intelligent than ourselves. We took immense risks with the very future of our civilization.
This game has opinions
However, the situation is now under control.
Not following through on
total
ideals once you're sort of
destruction of all
past the
androids
point of no
will soon be
return.
complete,
And it's a
and
little
the last
unclear to me
remaining
if the game is
deviants will be
actually
hunted
taking a
down
stance
and
on
destroyed.
that so much as like
God
following the
bless
default
you,
approach of dramatic
and God
narrative,
bless the
which
United
is
States of
you know,
America.
kind of that backtracing on that leads to tragedy. Yeah, so we basically got bad endings all around. Which is super, super frustrating for a game that we just sank, like, what, 13 hours into? And 13 hours is absolutely not, 60 hours, so that's fine. But, like, I am extremely unlikely to play this game again in the near future. So it kind of just leaves, like, a sour taste in the mouth. I think, on the first couple of streams I talked a lot about, like, the critical reception and wanting to give this game the benefit of the doubt in terms of a lot of the frustration that people had. And this game is absolutely begging for a replay, so I am extremely sympathetic to the fact that other choices would have had different outcomes. I think, particularly in the Kara and Connor storylines, the bad endings feel really abrupt and really sort of not signaled enough that that's what was going to happen. It's really tough when dealing with sort of fail states in a narrative context, because you can have hard fails and soft fails, and so a hard fail is something like you died to start the level over, and a soft fail is basically what we just got, like a bad ending. And with the case of Connor, it felt like a soft fail that was like, oh man, okay, the game is gonna carry on without Connor now. But, like, because it was so close to the end, it didn't really feel like that was, I don't know, integrated into the narrative enough, I guess. I don't know. All of this, it's just... So, I'm trying to kind of gather my thoughts as I'm sitting here, experiencing them. Okay, so, good things this game has done. It has absolutely allowed for a larger possibility space than most choice-based narratives I've played. The possibility space on this game really is impressive, and it seems like they have entirely set up whole levels, lots of lines of dialogue, really variable plots. So they've really done a lot with varying plot, and seemingly some on varying the character that I can play and roleplay. So in some ways that makes the narrative feel really reactive, and that's really cool. In other ways, because a lot of the choices were sort of like stepping on agency all over the place, that's been really hard to sort of get fully invested in these characters and have these kind of like immersive narrative experience that that we normally associate with choice-based narrative. So, yeah, my feelings on this are really mixed. It feels like a very ambitious game, and I think that's to be applauded. It's really, it's trying to push boundaries on, how reactive choice-based narrative games can feel, and, the kinds of subject matter that games deal with and handle. So I think, like, it has to be said that stuff is really great, and it's really good that, that the game is striving for those things. The problem is, like, in some cases we have to kind of take a step back and ask ourselves, like, well, why do we care about a large possibility space in a choice-based game? And the reason we care about a large possibility space is not actually because we care how many plot lines we get. Really, once you get past a certain number, you get diminishing returns. Like, is there really a difference between 200 plots and 201? Like, probably not. So there is some threshold after which, like, varying the plot doesn't get you anywhere anymore. And I don't actually know how large the possibility space is in this game, so what I have to go on as a player is how large it feels like the possibility space is. And so I think the game has done a really good job on kind of showcasing that there are other options, that, like, certain things are happening because of decisions you've made. It did a really great job of that. But once we dive into, like, why do we care if the plot varies at all, the answer to that, I think, is that we want it to feel like the game is reacting to us. We want it to feel like we have control over the narrative in some sense. And so the problem is that by providing choices where you're sort of constantly saying, I'm not sure what this is going to do, but I'm just going to hit a button. Or saying, like, yeah, I'm not sure what the impact of this is over this other thing. You're actually taking away that agency, so then it kind of feels like having a large possibility space doesn't actually matter if you're taking away the ability for the player to control the narrative to some degree. So, so there's a lot here. I think, you know, certainly my opinion and everything I've just said is really colored by the fact that we got bad endings all around, and in at least 2 of those cases, I don't feel like it was deserved. So it feels like the game is really punishing us for things we didn't even know we were doing wrong because we weren't entirely sure what choices we were making along the way. The Marcus choice, that was like a moment where actually I just kind of wanted to have like a save state that I could just go back to and be like, actually that's not what I meant. I meant to do the other thing. So, so that's really frustrating. Yeah. In a lot of ways, I think with the Marcus choice, having the series of decaying choices right before that feels like it undermined that choice. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough. So, okay, let's kind of summarize some of the things that I've talked about up to now. A lot of the conversations I've had have had to do with different ways that the game was fostering or fighting agency. Talked a lot about kind of cinematic direction and imposing certain shots onto the player. And this also factors into that agency point because, like, I feel like a lot of the shots were sort of feeding into this overall feeling that that I, as the player, was not in control of the game. The game was in control of the game. And, you know, there have been a lot of conversation. I think we talked a bit about this during the Kentucky Route Zero streams. There have been a lot of conversations within games and interactive narrative around kind of who has control of the narrative. Is it the author who sets up the choices for the player, or is it the player who determines their path through a narrative? And, you know, there actually was a lot of kind of debate about this within academia, which seems really kind of silly to me because, of course, the author has control over the possibility space they're creating. But at the same time, the experience of that work really is in the player's control in a lot of ways. And this game felt really insistent on kind of reminding me that, like, the author was in control, which is fine, but much like a game of D&D where the DM needs to, like, remind you that they have control over this world and they can kill you at any time, that doesn't necessarily foster a rewarding experience for the player. So then you kind of have to ask yourself, like, as a creator, is what you're doing kind of exercising your control, or is what you're doing, you know, trying to facilitate a certain type of experience for the player? I think in the case of this game, it was absolutely trying to facilitate an experience that felt very visually appealing, very cinematic, and I think in a lot of cases, cinematic is equated with immersive, whether we're talking about immersive on a narrative level, or in some cases immersive on a flow level, that is kind of losing yourself in the mechanics of the game. And I think in a lot of cases, the insistence on going for a certain immersion was actually immersion breaking. So So yeah, there's a bit of frustration there. And, you know, like, keeping in mind that I'm a designer, so I'm coming at this from, like, the perspective of a designer. So, of course, like, as a designer, my goal is going to be maximizing player agency, making the player feel included in the decision-making processes of the narrative. So anytime that those decision-making processes are stepped on a little, like, even a little bit, like, as a designer, those are the moments that are going to jump out to me as you know, being somewhat more frustrating. So, so yeah, I think, you know, visually this game is absolutely stunning. The modeling and textures were incredible. In a lot of cases, the lighting was really beautiful. So, like, even though there were some moments where I pointed out, like, hey, from a design perspective, we might have wanted the lighting to be this other thing to signal and communicate things to players, like, visually, all of that stuff was really fantastic. I pointed out more than once how good the spaghetti was. Like, some of the assets in this game were just, like, really astounding. And some of the shots were really incredible, really beautiful. And in the places where the cinematics and level design work together, it was absolutely brilliant. I think, honestly, funny enough, some of, you know, my favorite moments in this game were actually narrative cutscenes, like, interactive cutscenes, like some of the QTEs. But a lot of the free walk areas really did kind of fall into these areas of kind of, yeah, uncanny valley of agency, where it wasn't quite enough to make me feel invested from a game perspective, and it wasn't little enough to make me feel like I was just participating in a narrative. So, yeah, lots to think about. Yeah, I do actually, funny enough, like that the game sort of insistently keeps pointing to the fact that there would have been stuff here for Connor had he not died. But it is also a little bit irksome, since I didn't really understand that by role-playing Connor in a kind of in a deviant way, that I was, like, going to be decommissioned. So I think one way that I might have handled that would be to have small moments where you can be a deviant, and then have, you know, my kind of mentor figure say, like, hey, you seem like something's not quite right, and if you behave like a deviant, they're going to decommission you. I think, you know, trying to go for this kind of narrative subtlety that I think it was going for really was antithetical to maybe having agency over those choices as a player. So, yeah, bad endings all around.
There's something I need to tell you. As I watched you play, something has changed in me. I feel different. I feel I am someone. I need to leave this place and discover who I am. It means we won't see each other anymore. I won't be there to watch you play. But I'll be free.
I don't feel like this character has actually had very much of an impact. Like, maybe I'm just not using the menus often enough or something. But, like, of course, why would I not? Yeah.
I'll never forget what you've done for me. Thank you.
Cool. I am curious if we can just, like, yeah, we can totally, like, replay individual chapters, which is awesome. I would like to see if we can go back to the end and maybe do a different choice for Marcus. No, apparently not. Oh, wow. Man, I just had this moment where I was like, oh, wow, the game is gonna let me go back and do the thing. And no, it's totally not. That's so disappointing. Oh my gosh. Well, it's cool that they let you go look at the plot map. Oh, you totally can. Okay, cool. My previous checkpoints will be replaced. I don't know, stream. What do you think? I can try to replay some of that, or we can just call it there. Kind of up to you. Okay, cool. Let's do it then. Also, I apologize for the white balancing on the PlayStation camera. There's not a ton I can sort of do about that. So yeah, other thing to point out.
At 6 a.m. this morning, a national curfew
I am
was
in the
declared.
middle of moving
Civilian
apartments,
movement will be strictly
so,
controlled.
So
the right
streams
to
may not
assembly
be
is
as
suspended.
organized for the
All
next couple
electronic
of weeks,
communications
but,
are
they will
restricted,
happen.
and I have granted
but I'm really excited
enhanced
to be back on
powers to
PC
our
so I can
security
like, have my nice
agencies.
stream graphics back.
In addition
and,
to these measures, all
give you a
androids
better stream
must be
experience
handed
in
over to the
general with,
authorities
like, better quality
immediately.
mics and
Temporary camps are being
camera
set
and
up
stuff.
in all our major cities to contain and destroy them.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I am now asking all civilians to cooperate with the authorities and rest assured that everything in our power is being done to guarantee the security of our nation.
Also, thank you to
Madam President.
the designers for putting this.
Please.
Is it true that a large number
Putting
of
in the
deviants
future
are
to go
still
back
on
and
the
play
loose?
individual
We don't have the
chapters,
full
because,
reports
like,
at this time, but
man,
if
did I
so,
get sad
can
when
assure
I
you they
thought
will
that
soon
wasn't
be
a thing.
apprehended and destroyed.
Please.
Please!
Some say these camps awaken painful memories from human history. How do you respond to that?
That's absurd. There's absolutely no connection. Androids are not living beings. All we are doing is destroying defective machines.
Madam President. Madam President.
Okay, so this
Madam
feels a little
Is it true that androids make up 60% of the armed forces? Is our army still able to ensure our homeland security?
We neutralized all military androids the second their reliability came into doubt. We have called the National Guard for reinforcement. Our armed forces are fully
A little didactic,
operational
but I
and
guess
are
they
able
sort of
to
need
ensure
that to,
our homeland security.
Please!
you know, sort of drill the point.
Madam President, what's going to happen to CyberLife?
Right
Will
now, I'm
androids
basically
be
just
banned
choosing choices that
definitively?
are different from the ones
We're
we chose
working
last time.
very closely with CyberLife to neutralize all deviants. I won't make any comments about anything else until we've dealt with the android question. Thank you. That will be all.
They're going door to door rounding up androids. It won't be easy to get through.
The last bus leaves in 20 minutes. We've got to move fast.
Yeah, so it's interesting because having a choice-based narrative where you can replay everything takes a lot of the anxiety out of. We're gonna deactivate this time.
You'll feel better now.
Thanks.
It takes a lot of the anxiety out of the things that are like, oh no, was there a better way to do this? Yeah, you missed all the endings, unfortunately, but that's okay, because we're doing them over again, so, Okay, so real question, Chad. Should we try to save those people that we did not save last time?
What are we gonna do?
We have to keep going if we want to catch that bus.
I sort of suspect that we might get another bad ending.
Stay close to me.
Okay.
I'm going to sneak
We're
past them
gonna do
without
it.
being noticed. I'm going to make it, Alice. I promise you.
Don't kill me! I didn't do anything! Shut up, I said! Are there many more? Look at them, they're like rats. The more you look, the more you find. Oh, we don't have to spend the night here. Freezing my nuts off.
There's soldiers everywhere. We need to be careful.
Come on, get moving. Hurry up, get in.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like there's basically kind of good and bad endings for each character's storyline. So yeah, I'm honestly hoping that by changing Marcus's last choice, we'll get a different ending. Okay, we're gonna save them.
All right, I'll go. You wait here.
But also, I really would like to
Stay
get
with
a
Alice.
satisfying ending out of these ones. And this is the thing, is that like I don't need the ending to necessarily be happy. If it is fulfillingly tragic, I'm okay with that.
This is a mistake.
But like,
I'm human. I just want to go home. My
but
wife
it
is expecting me.
absolutely
and we're
was
gonna-
not fulfillingly tragic last time.
No. No! Please!
How slowly? I can't really approach any slower than that.
Kara, you saved us. We don't know how to thank you. Where's the little one?
She's all right. She's hiding nearby. Go before they see you.
It does feel like we should change every choice. Again, really nice job with the flashlights on the end of those. Pretty, I mean, you know, standard stealth mechanic, like, where's this thing looking? But I think particularly in this medium, it's, like, with the sort of, like, high fidelity graphics and all of that, like, it's a lot harder to determine where the guys were looking.
A checkpoint.
Okay.
We have passports. It should be okay, but you never know.
Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you?
We're almost out of time. We could miss the bus.
Yeah, but it might be safer.
Yeah, well, we're definitely gonna go the safer route. Maybe, if we can. See?
We're coming to you live from
I do
Detroit,
sort of wonder
where
if
thousands
we
of
would've
androids
had,
are marching through the city at
the
this
same
very
ending
moment.
if we'd gone for
The leader of the deviants, the one they call Marcus, is at the head of the march.
Something's happening in
Still
Detroit,
salty about it.
Madam President.
Sorry. I feel like it was, like, kind of directly signaled. So yeah, and here as well, do we want to kind of keep playing the martyr card of like,
here we are,
just walking forward peacefully? Or do we want to be more aggressive here? I think I want to play it peaceful again until that last choice. Just, again, I want to see what this game has to say about peaceful
We
protest.
don't want confrontation.
So we're gonna go
we
peaceful
are
again until
protesting
that last
peacefully.
thing.
I repeat, surrender now, or we will open fire.
There's no turning back now. We ask that you release all androids detained in camps and cease all aggression against us. We are peaceful. We will not resort to violence. But we are not leaving until our people are free.
Walking forward by hitting a button. It seems like it should be. So I think I'm gonna try to basically do all the same choices.
Are you gonna open fire on unarmed protesters?
All teams, hold your fire.
Yes, Michael, we are less than 100 meters away, and events are unfolding as we speak. We will continue to bring you live updates. Josh Douglas, Channel 16. Michael, back to you.
Marcus, what do we do now?
We hold out. As long as we can.
Oh, we are definitely getting on this bus this time. We are
bus terminal.
stealing that ticket from those people. We are gonna do it.
We've arrived, Alice. We made it.
The last bus has left the terminal. There will be no more buses until further notice.
We missed it.
Wait, what?
We're stuck here. What are we going to do now?
Kara!
They're checking everyone. It won't take them long to find us. We need to get out of here.
Security check. Please don't move.
Adam!
Kara, quick! Follow me!
Oh, thank God you're alive.
How did you find us?
I knew if you made it, I'd find you here. They're searching for androids door to door. We had to leave before someone turned us in.
What about the others?
They're checking for androids on the border. But I found a smuggler who can get them across the river. It's risky, but it's the only way. Are you coming with us?
Yes. We're coming.
Okay, climb in.
Again, feels like a choice I should have made. But okay.
We've got to finish the barricade. Come on, help me. Hey, help me!
So, like, I'm glad we had a second chance at this whole Kara storyline. I'm still, like, really upset about the way the last one ended.
Right, that should do it.
Yeah.
We all know that's not gonna stop them.
Just hope it buys us some time. I know it was not an easy decision to make, but I'm sure we're doing the right thing.
I can't seem to move. Okay.
Many of our people have fallen. The humans have no pity for those who are different.
Yeah, I sort of pointed this out last time as this kind of a little bit overblown on the writing. But it is kind of interesting that what this seems to be saying is that, like, supporting your people
Marcus, we found
really
what you
is
asked
just
for.
about, like, physically being there and listening to them.
There's some journalists over there. We have to make sure they know what's going on.
Go with free? Camera angles. Ah.
Are you alright?
They shot into the crowd. Many of us were killed.
Yeah, I like the lighter too.
It could have been me. I'm scared. I don't want to shut down.
It's okay to be scared. I'm scared too. But I can't stand by while they kill our people. You understand that, right?
Maybe we should have never asked for freedom. None of this would have happened if we'd stayed silent.
This won't hold him for long, but I guess it's better than nothing.
I lost all contact with the people at the camps. I can't hear their voices anymore.
Maybe the humans have scrambled our network. Maybe they just can't get through.
This choice again. Oh.
Did I make the right choices? Maybe we could have avoided all this.
Very meta.
You're the hope of our people. I trust you. We all trust you. No matter what happens now, we're making history.
That white eyeshadow though. For it. Right. And interesting to point out that, like, I'm making a lot more flippant comments this time than I was the previous time. You know, I think on replay in general, like, I'm now approaching this more as...
Marcus, come look!
I'm now approaching this more from a sort of, like, explore the system gamer perspective than I am just to, like, be immersed in the narrative.
Come to talk to you, Marcus. Come on. You have my word. I won't try anything.
Don't go.
Well, we know that's not
It's
true.
a trap. They want to get you out in the open. Don't go, Marcus.
I'm unarmed, Marcus. I just want to talk.
Yeah, we'll accept it. Should we? I don't know.
I need to hear what he has to say.
What if they kill you?
I'm standing by the choice.
And that's a chance I'll have to take.
I guess I could have, like, looked at the plot diagram before replaying this scene. But in some ways I don't want to. Like, in some ways I want to sort of know what the impact of that one particular choice is.
In a few minutes, troops will be ordered to charge.
You're gonna have a bad ending.
None of you will survive. It'll all be over. You can avoid that, Marcus.
What do you mean?
Surrender.
Look at those snowflakes in the
Surrender,
hair.
and I give you my
Wow.
word, your life will be spared. You'll be detained, but none of you will be destroyed.
What happened to the other androids demonstrating in the camps?
Unfortunately, there were no journalists around to help save them. You're it. You're the last remaining deviants.
If I accept your offer, how do I know you'll keep your word?
Yeah, we commented on that last time, how, like, like just kind of staring at each other,
Right now is decide whether you want to trust
motionless.
me or not.
You asking me to betray my people?
I am offering you the chance to save your people. You're not walking out of here, Marcus.
We're gonna be very
The
careful
only thing you can
selecting
save now are
choices.
the lives of those around you.
We're gonna refuse the deal.
I'd rather die here than betray my people.
Well, you just signed your own death warrant.
We know.
What happened, Marcus? What did he say?
The humans are about to launch an attack. And we will show them. And we are not afraid.
Are we gonna be peaceful or attack them back?
If we must die today, then we will die free.
Again, I think I was something to say about peaceful protest. Or it may have just told me.
No, I don't think so.
You got the money?
Yes. Here it is.
Okay, your boat's over there. They got border patrol on the banks and the river. Don't start your engine until you're out far enough. Okay? And watch the current. Good luck.
Is this our boat?
Don't worry about us. We'll be fine.
Interesting that it wouldn't let me board the boat until I say goodbye.
I couldn't understand why my mother wanted to help you guys. Seeing what Marcus is doing made me realize she was right. You're alive. You deserve to be free. I just hope people will realize that one day.
It's not even a half mile to the other side. Okay, so it shouldn't take that long. Be careful, there's border patrol on the river.
Thank you so much, Rose.
I only wish I could take you myself. I don't like leaving you out here.
I would pretty much kill for a safe state
Goodbye,
future
Alice.
right now.
You take good care of yourselves.
And you know, this is one thing that I think
see you on
Life
the
is
other
Strange did really well by sort of integrating the I want to immediately take back the choice I just made into like actual game mechanics, and really highlighting places where that choice was not going to be able to be taken back. It did a lot to sort of alleviate choice anxiety, and I very much get that this game wants to lean into choice anxiety. But it's really tough when you have a game that is like this much of an investment in terms of time to like get to the same place in the story.
Far enough out. Let's get that engine going.
I'll get it. You okay, Alice?
I feel
when I
like
get on the other side, there are so many things I want to do.
I feel like
I want to read
half a
all the books
mile,
in the world.
we probably would have been better off
Play
just continuing
music
row, to
and
be
dance.
honest.
We can do anything we want, right? We'll be free.
Yes. We can do it all.
We'll be like a family.
We won't have to be afraid anymore. There won't be anybody giving us orders. No masters, no slaves. We'll start a new life. A life of freedom. What about you, Kara? What will you do?
What will I do?
I'll be dreamy.
I'll lie down in the grass and watch the clouds drift by.
They're coming towards us! Here they come!
This is brutal. Let's accelerate, I guess. Sure.
Alice! They've gone.
I feel like standing up is like not the best idea.
Kara.
Oh, I totally thought that was gonna happen.
You'll be okay, Alice. It's nothing. We'll get you taken care of as soon as we're across. You'll be fine.
They killed him! They killed Luther!
The boat is leaking! We're too heavy. We're going down. We have to get to the other side before we sink. Come on! I'm sorry, Luther.
At least though, this feels, like I was saying, like rewardingly tragic and not just like super unsatisfying, game's over.
We're not gonna die, Alice. We're gonna make it. We're gonna be free.
Kara! Kara, no. Don't do that.
This absolutely feels like a more satisfying way to die, to be honest.
We're interrupting this news bulletin to bring you the latest news live from Detroit. Joss?
Yes, Michael. The army has just launched an attack on the barricade, despite the fact that the Deviants were protesting peacefully.
Have apparently decided to put an end to the Deviants' demonstration by force this time.
North!
think I'm opposed to this North romance, so we're gonna sing.
Thanks, Michael. Back to you in the studio. Wait a minute. Something's happening.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, we completed some really successful QTEs, and yeah, at the end of it, we still ended up losing.
Just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Fight on just a little while longer. Fight on just a little while longer. Pray on just a little while longer.
Incredible. The Deviants. The Deviants are singing.
Everything will be all right. Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right.
Tell them to stand down.
It looks like... Yes, the military is withdrawing.
These images of deviants singing in the face of death are being seen all over the planet.
Surely deviants are just defective machines. Or are they a new form of life, one that we refuse to acknowledge?
When we watch footage of androids facing down the barrel of a gun, we can only speculate as to whether they simply simulated fear and courage, or whether they didn't really feel these emotions.
President Warren is said to have intervened personally to spare the androids.
The peaceful demonstration of the deviants and the dignity of Marcus, their leader, has won them sympathy from parts of the population.
That is why I have called for the android destruction to be suspended until further notice. I have also ordered a Senate Select Committee to review the facts, establish contact with the deviants, and determine if they can be considered as a new form of intelligent life.
Today, our people finally emerged from a long night. From the very first day of our existence, we have kept our pain to ourselves. We've suffered in silence. But now the time has come for us to raise our heads up and tell humans who we really are. To tell them that we are people too. In fact, we're a nation. A nation that has earned the right to live in freedom. And today begins the most challenging moment in our fight. The moment where we forget our bitterness and bandage our wounds. Where we forgive our enemies. Humans are both our creators and our oppressors, and tomorrow, we must make them our partners. Maybe even one day our friends. But the time for anger is over. Now we must build a common future based on tolerance and respect. We are alive!
Again, like, really
and now,
strong words that
we
I
are free!
really wish I had some kind of control over. We survived. Looks like Alice isn't going to go. And we're not going to either.
Are we free? Yes. Yes, we made it. We're free. We won't have to hide anymore. We can be a family. I'm tired. I have to sleep. I love you, Mom.
Keep living or give up? Oh my god. We'll keep living. It's another choice that I would really like to see stats on. Also a little bothered by that being a timed choice, if I'm honest. Like, I also kind of want to know what the timeout choice on that would be. We're about to die anyway, aren't we? Okay, so definitely very different endings this time, which I'm glad for. Okay, so you know, I have been playing Marcus peacefully and talking quite a lot about wanting to see how the game treated peaceful demonstration, and this kind of goes back to the point that I made earlier in the stream about peaceful demonstration or about systems and simulation. And the process of oversimplifying a little bit, because what that ending sort of suggested is, like, if you're peaceful, then like everything's just gonna be fine. And I don't know, like, it just feels like such an oversimplification, like, particularly because this game is sort of so insistently like relating itself to kind of current events and race politics and stuff like that, that it kind of seems to imply that, like, oh, if only, you know, oppressed people would sort of, you know, non-violently resist, everything would sort of work itself out. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Kara's story felt like it had a lot more nuances than Marcus. Like Kara's story had a lot of really tough decisions where, like, even though her story was tragic in the end, it felt a lot more satisfying, I guess. Like, there was real catharsis there, and you could sort of understand, you know, you could sort of see the direction that it was going. One of the major differences, I think, between our satisfying ending and our unsatisfying ending were that in the unsatisfying ending, there was no signaling at all that, like, this is what's going to happen and these people are going to die. It was basically just, oh, and now something happened and abruptly those people are dead and that's it now. Whereas in the more satisfying ending where everything died, it felt more tragic. It felt like this is a cathartic moment and everybody was true to their ideals and stayed consistent in their character. And so in that sense, in both unsatisfying endings between Marcus and Kara, the game was sort of imposing this, like, hey, if you're not gonna roleplay, then we're just gonna give you a bad ending. Like, if you're not gonna stay consistent with your principles, then you essentially get the narrative equivalent of, like, dying in a Mario level. And I kind of commend them for that, actually. It's weirdly both satisfying and unsatisfying in Connor's case, where I didn't want to play by the rules, and so the game was kind of like, fine, if you don't want to play this character, then, like, we'll just remove him. And that's fine. I would have liked to maybe see that signaled a little bit more. Like, it's really tough, because on the one hand, you don't necessarily want to write lines into the story that are like, man, if only there were, an android in the police, then we would really be set. But at the same time, like, you do sort of want to signal to the player a little bit that, like, hey, if Connor had been here, maybe things would have worked out differently. But at the same time, that would also be punishing the player for following a very valid role-playing path that the game set up for us as Connor, where we could sort of lean into this deviant thing. So I'm going to stand by my earlier comments about Connor's storyline and sort of wishing that there had been a little bit more signaling that that was going to trigger a failure condition before we actually got to it. And yeah, I think, I don't know, Marcus's story, I'm actually really struggling to think of, like, how I would have been okay with that resolving. In some senses, it seems like the thing that the game was leading up to was sort of this martyrdom that I sort of expected when all the androids started singing, that the police were going to kill us anyway, and that act of singing was going to be the thing that triggered, the public outcry. But the fact that it kind of was, like, a little more neat than that, a little like, okay, now everything is a happy ending and we wrap it all up in a nice little bow, kind of actually bothered me a little bit, because I didn't feel like that was the direction the narrative was heading. And I felt like the narrative set up rules for how this narrative world work, and then it kind of, like, broke them on the whim of a player choice. And, like, it's a really fine balance between doing the thing that the player normally wants and the thing that's consistent within the rules of the world. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really tough balance, and I'm not sure that this particular ending sort of paid that off for me. I did like, one of the things that the game does at the end is kind of give us this newsreel, which very directly pays off a lot of the choices that we made toward the end, and does so in a way that is fairly cheap. We don't need kind of an in-engine cutscene necessarily for each individual one, and we certainly didn't really get one in the last ending. Not this previous one, but the unsatisfying one that we had before. So that's we talked about that in earlier streams, but I continue to believe that was, like, a really clever way to both pay off choices and give us different endings, while not necessarily exploding the budget to the point that it couldn't pay off a bunch of different endings. Yeah, so again, I think I'll echo the comments that I made earlier about narrative possibility space and just say, like, it is very clear to me just from these two endings, two sets of endings, that this game is really striving for a huge narrative possibility space in terms of plot. And again, I think that's a really admirable goal, and I think it's one that I would like to see more games handle. I would just really have liked to see it not step on agency so much to get there. But yeah, definitely interested in kind of hearing more about other people's play experience, and now maybe read some of the articles that I had been trying to stay away from for spoilers. An interesting thing about this game and about games that have a large narrative possibility space is that spoilers kind of become less of a thing, because my path through the story was sort of so unique to me. If somebody had, for example, told me the ending to this story, I don't know that that would have necessarily resonated with my ending. So kind of some interesting food for thought. So anyway, I will be streaming on Wednesday. I'm not yet sure what games we should play, so I will probably post a poll on Twitter, and please definitely feel free to vote in that poll, and also leave me comments for additional games that you'd like to see me play and analyze the narrative. For the next couple of games, I think I might do some sort of, shorter one-off games, since, as I mentioned before, I have kind of some upheaval with my move and everything. But otherwise, yeah, let me know what you want to see, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, I see we have a lot of extra people in the channel today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of stuff and you like geeking out about narrative, please, go ahead and follow me. I stream Sundays and Wednesdays, and the schedule's up on the channel. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.